Welcome back to the Gathering Academy. I'm so happy to have you here. We are going to be making some live discoveries today. The principles that we talk about will apply to every country, every place that you're looking into, but we're going to actually do some live discovering, some things that I have some hints on, but we're going to do it together. So if you're listening to this on the podcast, just know that some of the things that we will be showing are better viewed on YouTube. But go ahead and listen and you can hear this really cool story. So let me give you a little background. I was in a meeting a couple of weeks ago, a Zoom meeting with several people from New Zealand and Polynesia and Tia. And one of them, her name was Kerstin. And Kerstin lives in New Zealand, and she was on episode 98 of the Thinning of the Veil podcast. So if you haven't listened to that, go back and listen. It's so good. Well, Kerstin had reached out to me because she heard that I had to cancel our trip to New Zealand, the one that I'd felt so prompted to go on. And so she was going to be in New Zealand, and she said she would be willing to go to the cemetery where both her and my family are buried. And because of that, while we're doing this Zoom call, I just felt this prompting that I should set up a Zoom call with Kerstin for the following day to just chat. So we did. And as we were talking, it turns out that she's got Swedish ancestry. She has Maori and she has Swedish. And she just said, she made the comment to me, she felt bad. She hasn't been doing anything on her Swedish line. It was, I think, her second great grandfather. I hope, Kerstin, I'm getting this right. And that she said she felt like it was pretty messy. And as soon as I heard that, I just said, in my mind, I'm like, bring it on. Let me check this out. So before we got off our Zoom, I said, Kerstin, can I just have the PID number, which is the identifier number for your grandfather, so I can just take a look on FamilySearch? And she said, sure. And within 5 minutes, I ended up finding an extension. I think it was her fourth great grandparents. On one side of her tree, it had ended in 1806. And I knew that there was 99% chance that there were going to be Swedish records in that area. Because I'm an accredited Swedish genealogist. I've been doing this since 2005, and I absolutely love these records. And it was so exciting. I was able to find 4 kids in the family, 4 more kids besides her grandmother and an in-law, a brother-in-law. And so this last week when she was in Auckland, she was able to go and do work for this family. But the other bonus for me, I was so grateful for Kerstin. She was able to take some of my family that I made a discovery a few weeks ago on a podcast. Several of the full James boys that are connected to my cousin in New Zealand, they were just sitting in FamilySearch shared with the temple, and her boys went and did the endowments for me. So Kerstin, again, I'm so thankful for you, and I'm grateful for the prompting that I had to reach out to you so I could help you with that. So I thought that I would do this episode is dedicated to Kerstin. So Kerstin can come on, and hopefully some of you that have Swedish ancestry can learn a little bit about how to use Archive Digital. But use some of these principles, even if you don't have Swedish ancestry, come along with me to see how we do this, how we can go from a dead end on your fan chart in FamilySearch to then making some discoveries and some principles, some things we look for. So first of all, let me share my screen. All right. And then I'm going to show you, this is the episode right here for Kerstin, Spiritual Manifestations in the Life of the Kiwi. So if you have not watched that, go ahead. And Kerstin, I hope you're not embarrassed that I'm putting a plug in for you. So I'm going to take you let's go to her grandfather on the tree. I want you to see, let me go back. I want you to see the tree. So this is Kerstin's grandmother, and she was named after her. So isn't that fun? I think Kerstin actually goes down in the family somewhere, so I was able to find Maria Samuel's daughters, father Samuel, Karen, and then some children. When I went back to look right before I started recording, I went to look back at our messages, and she said, I would love to know more about Per Anderson's family. And so when I looked, I thought, oh, interesting. He has no parents in there. So why don't we try this while we're on this podcast? So the first thing is when you've got somebody that's in your tree and you don't have parents and you'd like to extend them, you need to look at them on their person page. So I clicked on him. I can see that back in, if I hover over this, so in 2022 in Brisbane, so she and her family must have done the work for him back in 2022. And the sealing to spouse was done in Portland in 1991. So that may have been an extraction of marriage records. And so that's why that was done so much earlier. If we go to person, we're going to pair. So one of the things of principle that you need to remember is that spellings of names can vary. So whenever you're looking for a name, try it in different ways. So pair could be P-A-R, P-A with 2 dots and an R. It could be P-E-H-R. It could, let's see, did we do P-E-R? P-E-R. And even Anderson could be spelled differently if it was in the United States versus in Sweden. In Sweden, it was standard to be Anders and then son. So it would be Per Anderson. So I take a look at this and I see 1st of February, 1801. I always take that date with a grain of salt until I find a record that proves that that really is the date. So then I want to look at the sources. So this is his detail page, which usually comes up. I can look and it says he was born at Dockamala, Backarid, Blekinge, Sweden. I see there's actually a possible duplicate over here. I'm not going to deal with that right this second because I want to continue to go through this. I see there's another alternate name, P-E-R, Anderson, and there's no parents over here. And then I can see the children. My goal is to extend him here, and so the children don't necessarily matter. Except for the fact that if I go to the christening records, I can see who attended and parents or siblings may be listed there. We're going to focus on trying to find him in what's called a Swedish household record or in his christening record, because we do have an exact date. So those are our two. I'd like to find him with his parents if possible. But what I do first is I go look at his sources and if there's any memories. There's no memories. When I look at the sources, there's nothing that's in 1801 or previous to his marriage. They're all just the baptisms and a marriage for, maybe this is his marriage down here. I didn't just saw this. Let's see. So this is the marriage and there may be an image available. It says check image availability. So let's look and see. Sometimes you have to browse the film. If we have to browse, I'm not going to go. Yeah. So it will bring me to this film. It's black and white film. So you'll see a difference between this and the records I'm going to take you to in Archive Digital. When I come to the first page of this book, I'll show you here. Let me make this a little bit bigger. This was probably filmed back in the 1950s. So it's black and white. This one is actually the marriages. So W-I-G-D-E. Or they have it as an A here, but that's generally how it's spelled. So then I would have to go, I'd click on this little waffle up in the corner and I would just scroll through and see if I could find the births. So the births might be in here and I'm looking for 1801. So there's an 1817. So know that if you don't have an Archive Digital subscription, FamilySearch does have many Swedish records that you can look at. They're just not as pretty. And so I'm going to show you the prettier, easier way to search. And so let's go back here. We've got his birth date and it's in Dockamala and it's in Backarid. So when you've got 4 places, you've got the country, you've got the county, then you've got the parish, and then the first one is the farm name where they lived. It's kind of their address. So I'm going to take you to Archive Digital. So this is Archive Digital, A-R-K-I-V, digital.se. SE is for Sweden. And if you want to have a subscription to this, you can access it for free at a FamilySearch center near you. But a subscription is around $15 a month, spread out over a year. So I figure that's very, very reasonable. But I'm going to log in. So let's see. Let's go to start the program. And you can do it this is in Swedish, but you could do it in English. And now it's in the English. All right. So I want to show you something here first. Over here on the right, I can type in, this is the place where he was living. And let's go back here. So he's in Backarid, which if we go here, Backarid. And here's Baccareed right here. So here's Baccareed. You can see that household records, which is like a census, they did it every year, started in 1813. And it goes all the way down here. Then we've got birth records, started actually in 1646. If I go here to and then you can see there's all sorts of records, marriages, deaths, probates, which are estate inventories, the tax records, and then there's church accounting and other types of books. So you can see they go quite far back. If I look on archive info, I can learn a little bit more about the parish, its history. So it says it was Baccareed, also part of Ronneby, and then it lists a few other ones that it was part of. I can also go here to this little link right here, and this will take me to another free site, which is the National Archives of Sweden. And when I go there, you can also search that as well. It's not as easy, but it is possible. We're not going to cover that today. So that will take me to Baccareed. And I could go into one of these books and I could search page by page, which sometimes you do need to do. But I'm going to do an index search first. So over here on the right, I'm going to type Pear and then 1801. And he was born the February. So we put the month and then the day. So you always need to put a name. You don't have to put first and last name. And I don't recommend doing a last name to start out with because as a child, they were not listed with a last name with their parents, and it will eliminate those ones. Until they were of confirmation name, generally, they were just listed with their first name, and then you'll have their birth date. And they'll be listed in that family unit. And you can do pair multiple spellings. Archive Digital is really good at doing alternate spellings if you do this approximative search. And so then I'm going to put Dockamala, D-O-C-K, I think it was Mola. And if you have a Mac, you can click and hold on a key and then it will do the diacritics. Otherwise, it'll still find it. And I'm pretty sure that's how it was spelled. Dockamala. I guess they had the A without that. And I'm not sure what the correct one is. So we're going to say search. All right, so up came a list, and I can drag this over like this so that I can see more of this. So I can see that there is a pair born in the 1st of February, 1801. And if I look over here, there's Dockamala. So you can see actually the parish in Dockamala was actually called Brecnahoby. What do I have here? I have Baccareed. So I need to check this out and verify it. So I'm going to go to FamilySearch. So I go to Google and I just type in FamilySearch and I'm going to type in, let's try Dockamala and see if it'll have it. Dockamala, Sweden, may or may not come up with it. So we got a Trockamala. So let's try instead, because it's a farm, it may not have come up. Let's try Brakne. Let's look at what that is. Wrong one. Let's go here. Brecnahoby. Brecnahoby. And here's Brecnahoby in Blekinge. So let's go back to our tree. And he is in Blekinge. So we want to know a little bit of the history of that. Oh, I don't know why it said that I wasn't signed in. Sometimes that happens. All right. I do want to point out a really cool thing that you can do now. You can use your iPhone to sign in with your to your account. If you're signed into your FamilySearch account, you can just scan the QR code and it'll give you a chance to identify if it's the same number that's on your screen as on your phone, and it'll sign you in for you. A lot of people forget their passwords when they're visiting family, but it's saved on their phone. And that's an easy way for you to sign in. So that's really cool. So I'm going to sign in and we'll go see a little bit about the history of this place. All right. So Brecnahoby is in Blekinge and there's the church. And let's see, it gives you a little bit more information, gives you the farm names. There's Dockamala. So what I want to do is I want to see if there's a Dockamala in Baccareed as well as this, and where's Baccareed in relation to this. So if I actually go back to Blekinge right here, it will give me a map. If I go down here. So here are the parishes, and Baccareed is number 25 right there. and Breckenhobe is number 26 right here. So it's possible that these two became one at some point. So I'm going to go, as long as there is not in Baccarid, I'm going to go look and see if there's a Docamola there. And there is no Docamola in Baccarid. So then what that tells me is what I have in FamilySearch right now is this part is not correct. That this parish, I'm trusting the farm name over this Baccarid based on for when he was born. So we'll look at the kids as well. And it says Docamola and look, Breckenhobe. So Breckenhobe. So that is the correct one. So you'll find that sometimes that there are errors in this. So I'm going to click on the pencil and I'm going to do Breckenhobe. And then I should get, here's the Breckenhobe. And then sometimes it doesn't recognize the farm names because they're so small. Docamola. And I believe when I went back to that, see there's a Dobramola, but not Docamola. Let's go back one more. Here we go. Docamola. And it is Mola with a A. Oops, let's see. Where are we at? Right here. So I like to do it the correct way. So I hold down on my A and up pops the letter 8, Mola. There we go. Breckenhobe. So now we've got that correct. All right. So now let's do some discovery. So we've got 1st of February, 1801. We come in here. We put in pair 1801. You can do a dash, but I just do 1801, 02 for the month, 01 for the day, and then Docamola. So up comes a whole bunch of ones that look like him. So I know that he was married, and he was married to Maria Samuel's daughter. So I come back here, and let's go here and see if he's married to Maria Samuel's daughter. And there it is, Maria Samuel's daughter with Anders, Hans, Karin, Ellen, Kerstin, and Sven. So let's see how many is that? 1, 2, 3, 6 kids. So then I go back and I have 9 total. So what I can do is I can compare what I have in the tree with this record. But now I've confirmed that this Per Anderson, it's really Kerstin's, Per Anderson, this is him. So all of these, because they're all the exact same birth date, they're all in Breckenhobe and they're all in Docamola. You see that? So now I'm really excited because guess what? This one is in 1801. So I'm going to take you to, I'm first going to take you because I did do a quick peek on this family. I'm going to click on this one. And I come here and here it says pair birth date. So this has all been indexed. 1801, February 1st. He's a son. But then I come down here and we've talked about patronymics in this before. A reminder, in Scandinavia, patronymics means you take the name of your father. Well, we know he's Per Anderson, so his father should be Anders. So then I wonder, what's going on? So here's a mother, Inger. It says unknown. They probably didn't write down the name and the date, or it was illegible. You've got a son, Per, which that matches, and it's at the same farm. And then you've got a brother, Jans, supposedly a brother, Jans, and a sister, Gertrude. So if I click on this source, it will take me to the actual image. And we can close this right here if we want so we can see this bigger. You can zoom in or out here up at the top. You can even make it full page. You can rotate it. You can copy and then save the image for your personal use. And you can copy source identifier. Any of these will copy basically a source to be able to paste into your family tree. So I'm going to go down here and let's see. All right, here is Sven Svensson, born the 12th of December, 1781. Remember, in Sweden, the majority of the time they had the month on the bottom and the day on the top. Then you have a wife, Inger. She's actually, it looks like maybe he put her age, 43. Not sure. I'd have to look at other records to see. That's just a guess. Then you have son, Per, 1st of February, 1801. And then you have Jan. So, and then you've got daughter, Gertrude. So these are their children, 4-year-old and a 9-year-old. So it's interesting. He's got some dates, some ages. All right. So let's see if we can figure out the mystery. So I could, let's go back here. I could go here and look at this census, but sometimes you don't have a census. I did peek at this earlier, and we're going to go to that, but I want to show you another way that you can do this. You can come in here, and if you go, let me go to a little bit later one. This one has a link to the birth record book, which is great. So I want to find the birth record for Pear in 1801. So when I click on this, do you see it starts in 1801? So it should be near the front of the book. So here it's beautiful. Look how it's color. And I can go, usually I'll go 5 pages in, but we're going to go 1 page at a time. You can tell this one has been rebound. And up at the beginning is the title of the book. And almost all of the books have this, or they've been added later by a volunteer. So you can see this is FODA. We talked about this in a previous Gathering Academy. FODA is births and DOP is christening. So this is the birth and christening book. Licensings and Vigsel book is the marriages. And Dod and Begravnal book is the death and burial. So those are your key ones. These are some other ones, but these are your key ones for finding vital information. So, and this one actually has the birth and christening book of the illegitimate children. So we're going to look here, and it says, it starts from page 1 to page 147. So if I come up here, click on this drop down, here's the pages on the right. On the left is the image number. Just remember you want to do the page number because that is corresponding with this. So I'm just going to go to page 1 because we know he was born in February. And let's go to the top. And here's 1801 births, and here's January. So I scroll down, you can see here is the name of the child. The first column is the birth. The second column is the christening. So by law, they had to christen the child within 7 days. Other Scandinavian countries were not so strict, but Sweden, that was their law. So I come down here to February, and I'm looking for a pair. And here's a pair born on February 1st. Kerstin, are you so excited? I hope that you are jumping out of your seat. So if we come in here, this Beatty is Bonda. So he's a worker, farmer. His name, this is an A-N-D, so Anders. So now we know we've got our guy. This is the father of Pear, Anders Bengtsson, from, the I is from or at, Doc, D-O-C, and then K-E-M. So they've abbreviated it from Docamola. So now I know I've got my guy. I've got Pear's father, and then there's it's Ingrid here, but Ingrid, there's so many different spellings, and she is 36 years old. So now all of a sudden I have an age for her. She's a little bit older when she had him. I don't know, maybe she had some previous marriages. And then over here, you've got some witnesses. So this is the witness column, and it looks like they were from Docamola. So we're going to, so what you can do on this, once you've found this, you can click copy. And I usually like to do copy source identifier. I'm going to copy that because I'm going to add that as my source. You can save the image if you click copy and save image. Just know that these images are under copyright, so you want to find out what Archive Digital's current copyright is. So we're going to go to back here. So now we know the father's Anders Bengtsson from Docamola, and he could be in FamilySearch floating around and just not connected, and we'll discover. But now that we've seen the christening record, I'm actually going to duplicate this tab, and we're going to go back. Let's go back. Actually, we can just go over here. If you click on these 3 lines right here, it'll take you back to the simple search where we searched, or you can come in here and we can go to our search for Pear right here. So we came back to this. So let's go to the very first one. I took you in a little bit of a roundabout way. I usually would have started with the first one, but because it didn't match up, the father's name with, it should be a patronymic. So now you go, Sven Svensson, that wasn't the man that was listed in the christening records. So what's the deal? Do you have any guesses? So I've done this a long time, and generally that meant that it was either an illegitimate situation, but it didn't say illegitimate, and he wasn't in the illegitimate section. So my hypothesis is that she was married before to Anders Bengtsson. He died, and then she married Sven Svensson, and maybe pretty quickly because she had this little baby. So let's click on this first one. We're on it. So now I'm going to click on this source right here, and that's going to take me to the original image. And if you look up at the top, every book is a little bit different. Every priest had different training, but here's Guatemala. And so we're scrolling down and we're looking for a little boy named Per, born in 1791 or 1801, sorry. So where is he? Does anybody see him? Oh, here we go. All right, so there's Per. 1st of February, 1801. He's 4 years old. Then there's a Jans, and it says banked. And then here's his birth date, and he's crossed out, so he may have died. If we look over here, usually there's a note about death. I'm not seeing that on that one. You can make it a little bit bigger. I'm going to close this for a second. And we can see here. So here's Inger. She's 30, it says here. And we'll look up at the top and see. He doesn't have anything. So I'm thinking that in 1801, she was 30. And then at the end of the book, 40. And that doesn't even make sense. So not sure what he's doing here. Why it says 30 and 40. But here's Inger. Here's Sven Svensson, who we saw. But look right above here. Anders Bengtsson. He's crossed out. He was 51. And then it says 55. So it would take a little bit more analyzing to figure out what is he doing here. We've got a 2 and a 6. That's 4 years. 4 years. 30 to 40. Maybe this is supposed to be 36 and 40. Which would make sense because you remember in the christening record, it said she was 36. So I think this is just an error. This should have been 36 and now it's 40. And then there's another pair. Not sure who he belongs to. There's a daughter Gertrude, who's 2. Son Per, who's, in 1801. This is his birth date. And then you've got this Jans, who was born in 06. It looks like the 14th of April, 1803. And then he was 2. So it looks like that's what he's doing. He's doing the birth date in 1801. And then in 1806, he's putting it here as he closes out the book. So what we've just discovered is that Inger had a husband, Anders Bengtsson. He passed away, and that's generally when they're crossed out. They either died or they moved out. And usually you'll have a little note. Over here, this AB means absolved, so they've been forgiven of their sins. And then he's got some other notes over here on the side. And I'm not sure if those ones belong to, let's see, Sven Svensson. Here's a Sven Svensson. So there is a little note here about Sven Svensson. We're not going to go into that right now. That is a little advanced. But now we know that the father of Per, from 2 different records, we've got his birth record right here, Anders Bengtsson from Guatemala, and then Ingrid. So we're going to go back into Family Search. And I copied this. I clicked copy and I copied the source identifier. I'm just showing you that again. When I come back in here and add these parents and I add his birth, we're going to connect it all to him. So I'm going to create a source for his birth. I'm going to click on sources. I'm going to add source and add new source. In the citation, I'm just going to paste that image. And then I can also say it came, not the image, sorry, the citation. And then I'll say www.archivedigital.se. That way we know it's where it came from, but I can also come back and copy the URL. So I copy that and then I come back into Family Search and I'm going to paste that here. So then I will put, I do it the spelling the way that I see it in the record. So he didn't have his last name in there, but we're putting that for identification purposes. So Per Anderson's birth and christening. The earlier ones didn't have the birth, but this one does. And then I'm going to say Guatemala. And then it was, let's see, what was the name of the place again? Breckno. This is one of my tips is, so you don't have to spell the whole thing, just highlight this right here, copy it, and then you come back here. That's one of my little hacks. And then we'll put Sweden. It's always important to do that. It helps create a timeline for you when you're looking at the sources. And then we know it's the 1st of February, 1801. And then these notes. This is another little hack. You can come back in here. We're going to go back 1. And you see this over here? I can copy all of this. And I can paste that in there. So then I have all of the family, just in case I get distracted, don't come back to this, somebody else has it. And the reason to attach the source, this proves the stepfather and father of Per Anderson. And I'm going to put stepfather. And I'm going to put Sven Svensson. And father, you can do this however you want. We just want to be clear. And so his name was Anders Bengtsson. And I put that in there. It also proves his mother and some siblings. Some siblings. And I'm not going to put all of them in there because I have them pasted right here in the notes right there. I'm going to put a space there. Then when you come down to the bottom, you want to tag, we got his name, sex, birth, and christening from this record. And then I will save it. So now that I've got that, it will show up in right here. And you see that it's not in chronological order. What I can do over here on the right, click options, and I can do it ascending. Now I've got 1801 at the top. So this has the little world here because I have a link. I have a web link on it. So that's symbolic of that. All right, let's go in and see if his parents are actually in there. First, I'm going to do the possible duplicate. I'll review the merge. And when you come in here, if you've never done this before, your final result is here on the right. We're looking at these two people and combining to have the most correct information. So there's Akumola. We see that there's some children. Let's see if these match. There's banked person, W5Z, W5Z. So the first children here were not included in this one. Then you've got Hans Persson, same thing, 6NR2, Sven, and Samuel M41. So all of that matches. So I say, yes, this is my same guy, even though I don't have his birth information. So I come down here and I say merge, and I will say first and last names match. We didn't have birth information, but we do have children match. And let's see, is there a place match? There's not a place match, but we could say other and place match of Dokumola. And then I can merge. So now these will be merged together, this duplicate, but I still didn't get parents on that one. So it may have brought over some duplicates that need fixed over here. So we ended up, we've talked about this before, down at the bottom now, I have him floating separately. This is always so confusing to people. What do? The key is clicking on this drop-down arrow, and you want to see if these numbers are the same. If they're not, then there's a special merging, and we did talk about this before. If you need another lesson on that, would you put a comment in the bottom? But we're going to look at this, and I think these were all the same, W5Z. So it's just linked twice to the same guy in two different relationships. This is one relationship, but there's not a spouse, and then the other one is the correct. So we're going to click the pencil and just remove. And then we can say, yes, we are removing because we've looked at all of the information. We know that this is just a duplicate. And then we check the box and say remove parents. And I will just say duplicate relationship. Okay, and then I say remove. And now he's gone. So now I just have three. So Hans 6R2, Hans 6R2. Let's look at Sven S or 7SR. So Sven is actually, that one may not be a duplicate. Let's do Hans first. And I'm going to remove and remove. And we'll just say duplicate, duplicate relationship. All right, so now we've done that. Samuel, let's see if he's the same. HYS, he's not. So we've got two people that need merged. So let's start with Samuel first. I click on this and it copies his ID. Then I go up to the one that I want to keep because this actually has a birth and a death date. And his is 15 September 1841. This is only has a christening, 25 September 1841. So when I come here, then I can look on Samuel and I'll see if we have a christening date. What I notice, he has no sources. We just have the birth date and it's in Dokumola. So I'm almost positive that these two are the same people. I'm going to look at the possible duplicate. I copied that other ID just in case this didn't pop up here. If it didn't, I would come down here to merge my ID and I would paste that in there. But we're going to go with this one right here first. And it may be that there's two, but this is likely that same one that we copied. So when I look at this, I can see this has a christening and it's just about within a week. It's a little bit more. And we can go back here to the christening book and we can look it up. I'm very confident that this is the same person, but that's what I'd recommend that you do. Go look at the christening book, make sure that this is the same person, that was the right christening date. And then you're going to scroll down to the bottom. And if there's nothing that you need to change or bring over, so it brought the death over, then I will say merge. And I will say the first and last names matched, the birth information matched, and the parents matched. And then I say merge. And now he's merged. So all his ordinances are not needed because he was died before 7. I noticed that on the other duplicate, it was ready. It had already been baptized and it was ready for initiatory, because you could see the little dotted squares, and that means that I'm not related, but Kerstin could have done the initiatory unknowingly because if she wouldn't have merged these two. So we've got these merged. So now he's good, but we still have him connected. You can see this is the person we're on because it's highlighted in blue. LV1, LV1. So we're going to remove him from this. This is an unnecessary second relationship. We have the correct one at the top. Remove and remove parents. And we'll just say, again, you probably have this memorized, duplicate relationship. You can do something longer if you want. And so now you can see, what happened to that other boy? It's because we need to go to pair. So go to the father pair. And we'll see there's still that one child sitting there. So let's see what the situation is. Sven Persson, 6th of January, 1837. And this Sven, 24th December, 1836. So what I would do, we're not going to do this right now for the sake of time, but what I would do, or I would say, Kerstin, if I don't get around to it, come in here and go find, this may be your first homework assignment, go find the christening record for this Sven and see if he was actually christened on this date, and then walk through those steps of merging that one together. So what we're going to do now on this pair, we want to add the parent that we found. So his father was Anders Bengtsson. We don't know anything more about him. Oh, we did have a birth date. We had an age and a deceased. So what I like to do when I don't know it exactly, I do know that he lived in Sweden. I'm going to put, I don't know why that little box popped up, but I'm just going to put Blekinge for right now. He was likely in that county. That'll give FamilySearch the opportunity to search for more records for him. And then his birth date. If we go back here, he was 51 in 1801. So that means he was born in about 1750, which is very exciting. So I'm going to do the birth date, 1750. And his death date was before their marriage date, which, do we have a marriage date? Let's look and see. It was sometime between 1801 and 1806. So we could say before 1806 because he's crossed out and Sven is written in here. We also know that this child down here, Jans Bengtsson, unless his name was Jan, I don't know. It says Jans and Bengt. We could guess, but they do have this child born in 1803. There's also a son, Sven. There's also a daughter, Gertrude. So it's kind of hard to tell. So at this point, I'm not going to guess. I'm just going to say 1750, and I'm going to say death date before 1806. That will give me an idea of where to look. And then we can say Dokamola. Now let's go back and do our little trick. We're going to copy this again. And then we'll come back here and paste it. And Sweden. And we'll say next. So let's see if he's really in there or if we're creating a new person. He wasn't in there. This is so exciting. So we just found your 4th great grandmother, Kerstin. Create person. So I've got Anders in there. And the next thing we would do, we would add his wife. And then we would add the children. And we would add her second husband, Sven Svensson. But I want to leave that to Kerstin to be able to continue adding to her tree. So we've made that initial discovery. If you look at Anders Bengtsson now, you will see all of these for me show up with the little dashed boxes. But for Kerstin, it will show up as all green and ready to go for her boys to do the baptisms. I'd like to show you one more thing. When you're on, let's go back to Archive Digital. When you come back here, when you type in this parish, you could type in, I have ancestors from Perstorp. when you type that in there, it will pop up and you'll see over here, you'll see the county. There are some places that they may have multiples. I'm trying to think. Let's see. I'm trying to even think of one off the top of my head. Just know that when you type it, you need to type it in with the diacritics. So like an A with a O over it, or an A with 2 dots. It needs that to be able to find it. Otherwise, I just start typing. So K, and let's try A with the O over it, and we'll see what happens. So you can see there's a list of different places with that letter in it. And then I just start typing if I'm not sure where it is. So here's a color red, and there's a color stad. So that gives you an idea of there. You can also click on archive type, and you can do all sorts of different archives. I think we're going to go into that at another point. So if there's interest to learn a little bit more about how to use some of the other features on Archive Digital, we will do another one. But I'm going to show you one last thing. When you're in here, this population of Sweden, that's where you're going to do your search for anybody, I believe it's 1800 or after, to up to 1940. And then the census of Sweden, this is 1940 to 1990. And you can search each of those individually. Another thing that I like to use a lot, there's some indexes. I don't have as much success with those personally, but you can search estate inventories, which are probates, which list a lot of times extended family, children, sometimes other spouses. There you can see all of these different records that are very, very helpful. These are tax records, which are really good for the 1700s. The muster rolls are excellent for finding your family in the military. So this is giving you a little taste of what Archive Digital has. Let me unshare my screen now. All right. I hope, Kerstin, I hope that's enough. I hope you feel confident enough in continuing this search and this discovery for your family. Archive Digital is one of my most favorites. I love to search in Sweden. And I want you to know, don't be afraid of searching. We can do a follow-up of how to analyze the Swedish household records. In fact, I think we're gonna start this. This is gonna be the beginning of Scandinavian month. If you don't have Scandinavian relatives, still come along for the ride. We're gonna teach some other important principles and some things that you can use on FamilySearch to help you with keeping track of your family, of sourcing them. I will be going to Sweden in a few weeks. I'll be in Copenhagen, so we're going to do a podcast on the Danish records and how you can search those. And I'm going to take you into an archive in Lund and learn a little bit more about what's there. A lot of members of the church have Scandinavian relatives, and they're really afraid to get into these records, but they're really, really not that hard once you get into them. We've got some great resources. So jump in, go find one of your Scandinavian relatives. And I always say, go into Archive Digital. And if you don't have a subscription, then you can go into Ancestry. Ancestry has some great later records. So if your ancestors are basically after 1850, you can find them in there. MyHeritage also has some as well. So those are some free places along with FamilySearch that you can look for Scandinavian or Swedish records. Archive Digital is truthfully the easiest. So just jump on in and we'll see you next week.